The Juicy J's are the coolest people I know.
Oh, that's a good
And
one.
I've never met anyone cooler than them.
On the menu today at Sarah's Soju Cafe is Ocean Bomb Pear Soda. So grab your mugs and let's chat about being cool. Welcome back, Soju Shotties, to another episode of Soju with Sarah.
If you guys have any suggestions on what you guys want to hear us talk about, I think that'd be good feedback. Fill out her feedback form.
Oh yeah, or just comment what you want us to talk about.
Because sometimes I do feel like it'd be valuable to just get people's ideas of what they want to see from us. Yeah, just so we're not just like, I don't want to be repetitive, that's all.
Yeah, but welcome to Soju Friday, our weekly Soju Friday that you guys can hop on into or listen to not on Fridays. We talk about life, adulthood, navigating your 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond, and everything from love, career, finances, relationships, and also beyond.
Yeah, on that note, we're actually hosting a dance-a-thon this month, so we wanted to advertise that at the top of the episode. Yeah.
But it's actually virtual, so to participate, you just need to put a dancing emoji in the comments, and the best dancer will win.
Well, the best dancer will have to face me in a virtual dance-off. I'm the final boss.
You know, it would be so funny if you guys actually submitted videos of yourself dancing, and then we picked our favorite and then put it on the screen next time.
What are we like? So what? What is it? So what?
So what you think you can dance?
So what? You think you can dance? That's very different. So you think you can dance?
I love how that sounded really rude just because you moved the words around.
So what? You think you can dance?
What is it?
It's like a sarcastic version of it.
Yeah. Oh, so there is no what?
Well, it's already like sassy to begin with, right?
Wait,
it's like, so you think you can dance? It's like, show us. But then it's like, so what? You think you can dance? So what are you going to do with that?
This is killing me so much. That's actually really funny. But anyways, welcome to today's episode. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate every single one of you. And today we're going to talk about being cool. This has been on my agenda for like topics for, I think, the last like 3 months, ever since we moved to this unnamed territory in the beyonds of New York City. I've already said where we lived before in past videos before.
With Poo-lergies.
What? You mean Mew-gersies?
Those all rhyme.
I was going to say, we had a lot of discussions about this because I feel like when you move out of like a quote unquote very popular city and one that's very trendy and, you know,
it is not trendy. New York
it's
City
trendy
is not
to
trendy.
Move to New York though.
New York is a mainstay.
Okay.
New York is a bedrock.
You're the person pushing the narrative that living in New York is cool.
It is cool.
It is cool. But then I feel like there's this undertone of like when you move out of it that it's not cool.
It is uncool.
And oh my God. Well, end of episode, you guys.
There we have it, folks.
Well, I was just going to say that when we were talking about like moving and the whole process of moving, I feel like there's always an undertone of like it's uncool to move out of like the cool city, which we are here to disrupt that narrative because despite what James says, I think it doesn't even matter. Like coolness at the end of the day doesn't matter. It's all just fluff, you know? But this episode today is completely unscripted. We have absolutely no outline because usually I spend like some time to put together some nice outline and talking points for us. But today we're going cold turkey.
Should I politicize this a little bit?
Politicize?
Yeah, just a random thought.
Okay, go for it.
You're talking about how coolness is not a good reason to like move to New York or a reason not to move out of New York. We were just talking about like the death of subculture because of social media. And just to summarize, the argument that I've seen is that like subcultures don't exist anymore or like new subcultures aren't really popping up because as soon as there's like the makings of one, it just kind of gets exposed on social media by someone for views to be like, here's this cool thing I just found for everyone to now partake in. And then now you can adopt the same aesthetic as them because you can just take the aesthetic without knowing what it really is.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just thinking about New York as a hub for that death of subculture that's happening. And like, I don't know if that's just constantly been happening, but with like gentrification and obviously like, I feel like to some extent, people like us take some part in that, even if we're not like actively trying to harm it or anything. But with everyone that moves to New York with the goal of like being cool, to be honest, like most of them are just kind of like leeching off of the subculture and culture that lives in New York City already. I'm politicizing a little bit, but my mind went to that when you said like, it's not a good reason to come to New York or to leave New York. And I think that's true, but also because of how it affects like the culture of New York for people to come and want to be cool and then leave because it's like they're done with the coolness part of it and they're like, I'm going to LA now, or I'm going to New Jersey. And so like there's probably some criticism that we can have for ourselves about it, though I think a lot of other people are bigger offenders. But yeah, that was my thought.
That's a great thought.
Is that too meaty?
I thought that was really meaty. We just jumped into that.
Sorry, I thought of it, so I wanted to.
But yeah, I guess we're jumping right into it.
Oh, sorry. Let's just say that as like that's a placeholder for what we're gonna come back to.
Yes.
First,
yes.
shall we get into the drink of the day?
Yes. Today, James did a really nice run the other day. He actually didn't run, but like he went to, was it Great Wall? Oh, 99 Ranch in the suburbs, I think. 99 Ranch is like an Asian store, Asian mart with all
You wouldn't believe the number of ranches I had to go to find this.
Were there 99?
Yeah. It was a lot.
But James picked up, what is it called? Like
I don't even know what it's called.
something bomb pear soda. And it's so good.
It's a pear soda. I assume it's Japanese because there's like an anime girl on it. Yeah.
Your waifu.
My waifu. She's definitely not as pretty as you are. So
don't let your girlfriend stop you from finding your waifu. Cheers.
Hi.
Hi. Cheers.
Cheers. Kanpai. Whoa, that's really good.
It is really good, right? But it's really sweet.
It's a little too sweet, actually, yeah.
Going back to that one time that I said on this podcast that we would do healthy drinks, I think that is never going to happen.
That was a lie.
But I do think it would be so cool if every week we were like, look at this celery, cranberry, peanut butter smoothie.
How do you rebrand the name of the podcast to be all-inclusive of that?
Healthy
Holistic
drinks with Sarah.
Healthy drinks.
Holistic healthy drinks with
Con
Sarah.
Sara.
Con Sara.
Just make it Spanish at the end for no reason.
Where were we? Oh yeah. One last thing is we spent an hour and a half sitting on this sofa because originally today we wanted to talk about fashion, but then I wanted to pull up some pictures and then we were like, oh, no, maybe I should plan a little bit more. So then we sat here for an hour and a half figuring out what we wanted to talk about. So we would love your input, the Soju Shotties. If you have any topics and things you want us to talk about, I have a running list of things, but I also just don't want this podcast to get too repetitive because sometimes I feel like we kind of recycle the same points, stories, and other things because we think about, you know, where we are in life and adulthood and all that, but it does get repetitive. Like whatever existential crisis we're going through at a time, like we're not going to talk about it every single week. So if you guys have things you want to, you know, let us know. Go fill out our feedback form or just leave a comment and let us know.
Yeah. I feel like we've been like squeezing our brains like lemons just for every little ounce of interesting thought. And also something we talk about is I fear sometimes that we are the friend who only talks about deep things all the time. And you're like, can we just talk about something light for once?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I feel like, yeah, we're just that friend who's like, but tell me how you really feel. And it's like, I don't want to talk about my stuff like that. I just want to tell you about the like anime waifu I found on the soda can. Not about
okay. That's not what this episode
not unpacking the trauma behind it, you know.
There's trauma behind the anime waifu.
You
on
wouldn't
the soda
believe
can?
it. Let's save it for another episode.
I don't want to listen to that.
Yeah. That's solo pod.
Yeah. Anyways, getting into today's topic, we wanted to talk about, well, actually, I wanted to talk about being cool and the whole like concept of being cool because we have been talking about this in our personal life a lot. And within the last 3 months since moving out of New York into Poolergy, we've been talking about what it actually means to be cool. Because I think when you're younger, being cool matters a lot. But then everything that I hear about like getting into your 30s is that it literally like you just let go of the what is trendy, what is cool, like that whole mindset because, you know, at the end of the day, your life doesn't like nothing changes when you're cool or not.
Unless you get paid for being cool.
Unless you get paid for being cool.
That's true.
That is one scenario.
Yeah.
But how many people get paid to be cool, you know?
A lot. Just look online.
But I did want to broach this topic because I think just on paper and like in conversations with people, just purely because of moving out of New York City from what is quote unquote a cool city, I feel like people react differently to when I talk about my home life and like where I am, and the implication and undertone sometimes is like that I'm not as cool because I don't live in the cool city. And I wanted to bring that up because it's something that we've talked about, whether it's like how people treat us or how we kind of like shy away from like mentioning where we live. And you know, Poolergy is a great place, you guys. Like
yeah,
I love Poolergy.
I'm from Poolergy.
And going back to what James said, we somehow are making this a deep conversation again, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. Everything you just said makes me think you're not a cool person, actually, and you're just coming to terms with it. And I say that as a cool person.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just kidding. I agree with everything you said. I think there is so much overemphasis on being cool, especially living around the big city and
Mhm.
in the big city. Even within the city, it's like, I live in Murray Hill. If you say that, people are like, okay, frat bro, what are you doing? Like,
Oh, there's
there's
stereotypes
weird,
for
like,
sure.
there's definitely a lot of stereotyping that happens both within the city and like outside of the city about like coolness. And I feel like, especially because of New York being like a fashion hub, and I feel like a lot of fashion is also, are you cool or not? Not like, are you qualified to be here? Do you have some level of like involvement in the industry, whatever? It's just like, are you cool or not? I feel like that creates a weird thing where people are scared to do things for fear of not looking cool, and they also just do things because they want to look cool.
Yeah.
And I think things like moving to poolurgy, that's like an example of something someone might not want to do because some aspect of coolness gets lost when you say you're like in a suburb. And I feel like a lot of YouTubers go through that too. When they leave New York and go to like a suburb, it's suddenly like, oh, they're kind of like not cool anymore. And you feel it when you watch it too, which is kind of unfortunate. But I think it's a detrimental thing that guides a lot of people through life, us included, a lot of the time.
Yeah. I'm trying to detach myself from that narrative though, because when we moved to Poolurgy, I came to the conclusion that I don't really care how where I live stereotypes me. So I wasn't thinking about coolness much at all when we moved because I cared more about like space, what we're getting, where we're going to live, how our home life is. And I think like what I've come to realize is that coolness doesn't affect like other things in your life, like your career, your finances, your friends, like, well, maybe friends, but like something we can dive into later is like the social element of being cool that most people just aren't the textbook definition of cool, you know?
Oh, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
As Sarah Pan, the person, it seems like you don't really care about coolness per se. Like you're saying it's kind of overrated.
Mm.
How does you, Sarah Pan, the content creator, contend with that? Because I do really think that once you're in like a hub, like New York, Paris, LA, Seoul, Tokyo, that does add a layer of interest to you and coolness to
Mhm.
you that affects you in a monetary way and a metrics driven way. So how do you like deal with that for
Oh.
yourself versus like your career? Because it's true you shouldn't make decisions on coolness, but if your job depends on some level of coolness, like how do you deal with that, right?
I think that's a good question.
Yes, I stumped her.
I think this goes into something I mentioned in a different episode about like personal style and how when I dress uncomfortably, as in like I'm dressing something that is trendy and looks good that other people are wearing and I think looks nice on them, but it doesn't feel like me, that I always feel awkward or I don't present well or I just behaviorally am not myself. I think that's a similar thing where it's like I can be in the trendy location, I can be in the cool location, but it's more about my comfort. So even online, I think I'm very grateful for this, but it's like I don't think being in a cool location or doing cool things is what people watch me for, like especially on this podcast, right? Like I don't think people care how cool we are. I would hope everyone thinks we're cool
I'd argue we are not very cool.
on this podcast.
I don't think cool is the word people reach for when they talk about us.
Hey,
I think there's a lot of other positive things they say, but I don't think it's cool. What do you
I think we're pretty cool.
You think what you think in rooms where we're not there, they're saying Sarah and James, they're so cool.
Yeah,
Oh really?
I think so. You know why though? Because we're
I've-
so chill. Okay,
No,
maybe
I was gonna
chill
say
is what they reach
they're gonna
for.
say, oh, they're so chill and nice.
Chill is literally the same
And the
temperature
guy's pretty
as
hot.
cool. What the-
And the girl's pretty hot too, but not as hot as the guy.
Going back to what you were saying, I think if we're talking about my content, obviously it does affect, you know, how people perceive me because I do lifestyle content. So obviously people will stereotype me and typecast me. But I want to say that I'm like less affected by that than I used to be. I would say even like a couple of years ago, I was like chasing more of the image of things rather than the actual quality of things. So you can wear something that's cool, but it can be low quality. But you can also wear something that's high quality that doesn't necessarily present as cool. And I am more comfortable in something that is of higher quality. So if the quality of my life is better and I feel more comfortable, I think I'm happier than if I look cool to other people. And that just might be like the mindset shift because I don't necessarily care about like perception as much as I used to. I still do care about it, but if I were to move back to New York, which we've been talking about, it's not for the purpose of being cool. It's for what I want to do in New York and like the resources that I get out of New York and being near my old pottery studio and things like that, you know? I don't know if that was that a...
I think what you're getting at is that you shouldn't care about coolness to other people. You should only just care about what's cool to you. It's blocking out what you think other people care about and that you should care about it too, rather than just focusing on what you know you care about and then not really worrying about like what you should be caring about based on other people's opinions.
Actually, that was one point I wanted to bring up, which is I think being cool actually means you're being true to yourself. This sounds very tacky if I'm like saying it out loud, but it is truly like you are the coolest version of yourself when you're living the life that you want to and you're leading with the things that you want to show yourself as and like experience for yourself. Like being a cool person, like truly in life, the people I've mentioned to James or like other people that are like the coolest people I've met are not the ones that are wearing like the trendy outfits and like talking and putting on like an accent, for example, like a British accent just to seem cool.
Wait,
It's
what?
like
Do you know people who do that?
in middle school there was a girl who is completely like American, born and raised in like Massachusetts. She was like very interesting. She was like very like poised and like, but she spoke in a British accent. But like during any of the parent meetings, her parents were like speaking American English, but she put on a British accent because she liked it. So
Wow.
I
I
mean-
could take this on a tangent of a similar story, but I don't know if we should.
say it.
I knew this girl in high school who claimed that she was fluent in German because she had German ancestry.
Oh, really?
And the more I learned about her, she made all these different claims about herself that weren't true. And we'd ask her to like teach us some German just out of curiosity. Like, oh, what is this word in German? And anytime you ask her, she'd be like, oh, it's too complicated to teach you. And putting that together with every other weird lie that she was telling, I was like, she's lying about speaking German. So I don't know why people lie. It's just like, why do you do that?
Well, I think it's because they want to be cool, right? Like she thinks that side of, you know, her heritage makes her seem cool. And so she tries to represent herself that way, even though it's not her. And so exactly proving my point, I think like it's not cool. It's like actively not cool when you're trying to be or pretending to be someone that you're not, right? So that's my hot take, that being cool, if we were to actually define people who actually come off as cool, it's just people that like stick with their instinct, do what they want, and like shamelessly live the life and lead the life that they want to lead.
Like our producer.
Yeah, he literally
If it's-
sleeps during these podcast episodes and we think he's so cool for that.
Yeah, and he does not give an F. It's 1 a.m. He wants to do something and whine. He does it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's
He wants to step all over us in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
He just does it.
exactly.
He's the coolest cat I know.
One thing I wanted to talk about was how people don't do things that they should do just because they think it's uncool. I think uncoolness has a lot to do with ego, ultimately. Let's say you want to put yourself out there and you're kind of scared to because you're scared of looking dumb, or let's say you get some opportunity that will pay you some money, and you need that money, but you don't want to do it because it makes you look not cool or something, and you turn it down. I think ultimately that's really just like ego. It's like you care so much about your personal pride that you don't want to like come off uncool to someone else when people probably don't even care that much. And so I think we do a lot of these things that limit ourselves because we're afraid of what someone else might think about our coolness. But at the end of the day, it's like you're not willing to put your ego aside and do things that you should be doing. It's not just that you care about what other people think. It's because you have too much of an ego. And so you need to like put that down and humble yourself, I guess.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think you're a cool person? It's controversial to answer this question either way, because if you say yes, then people are like, you're not that cool. Like, why would you say
I'm never going to say I'm not cool, because
Okay.
to say I'm not cool, I think that's really lame, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why would I not think I'm cool? I think I'm a cool person.
That's
I like
true.
myself. If
Yeah.
if I say I'm not cool, then
I
I
like you
just
too.
Thanks. I like you too. If I say I think I'm not cool, it's like I feel like that obliterates anything that I do. It's like I think I'm not cool. I make a design. It's like, okay, I think that's not cool then. You know, it's like, why would I think that of myself? And when you're talking about how moving to Jersey or Poolergy or somewhere else makes you uncool or something, there was some celebrity who said like anywhere I go is cool because they were asked something about that. Like if they worry about being in certain rooms or whatever, it's like, no, like anywhere I go is cool.
Yeah.
And so that's what I thought of.
Oh, I love that mindset.
Which sounds a little corny, and I definitely don't think that way because I'm not that confident. But yeah, I do think I'm cool. I think I have a lot of strong traits that I like about myself. So
Yeah, I love that.
yeah. Do you think you're cool?
I'm a loser. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think I'm pretty cool too. But I think like the reason I feel like I'm a cool person is because I've grown into myself, less so that I feel like I dress well and people think I'm cool. I sometimes have no idea what my public image or perception is to my friends, to other people, to random strangers, to people online. But I think like I'm trying to separate, like a personal goal of mine is to separate my personal identity from whatever image or perception other people have of me, because it's toxic, but also because, and this is a thought that I had earlier today, I was thinking like, I wonder how many therapy sessions I've been mentioned in, not from like a vanity perspective, like, oh, someone's talking about me because they are so jealous, but I'm just wondering how other people perceive me and whether I've, ever said anything, done anything, or left a mark on someone in some way that it creates an impression of me that is different from what I perceive. Because you know how things can get like misconstrued, and like you might say something nice to someone, but they might take it some way and they might think about it for a while, and then you end up in their therapy conversations. I was just thinking about how it's so impossible to know what every single person thinks of you, and there's no reason you should try to guess at it, because it wasted a lot of my time to think like, oh, who would have, a negative impression of me. But I think that's all to say that I think I'm cool based off of like how I feel about myself.
Yeah.
And there's days where I don't feel that cool, because there's days where I feel really sluggish. I feel really down. And that's more of a reflection of like how I'm feeling, but like not anything related to the superficials or the external variables,
I also feel like if you don't feel cool at any given moment, a lot of time, at least for me, it's just because I don't have enough like outside stimulation for me to remember that I'm cool or like have any reaction to anything.
Yeah.
Some days I feel like 10% of who I am because I'm just like staring at a wall or like staring at my computer, which is against the wall.
That's what you do all day?
Yeah, I just look at the paint dry.
You paint for us too?
Well, I just paint little parts of the apartment and I just watch it dry just as an art project.
Okay.
And I live stream it actually.
Oh.
I have a pretty strong Twitch audience. I think a lot of this episode is pretty obvious or self-evident to a lot of people, but I think it's worth reminding people of and ourselves, because I think it's easy to get caught up in stuff. But as an example of why you should just do the things that you think are cool is because what people think is cool is so subjective and changes over time. There's the classic one of like Asian foods and Korean foods especially like becoming popular now. I don't know, I see this on TikTok comments all the time. It's like,
yeah,
oh, like Becky from middle school was criticizing me or making fun of me for having kimchi, and now she thinks it's like the best thing ever, blah 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 blah. It's just like a reminder that tastes and trends and what people like changes over time. And I think, what that weird goth kid was wearing in middle school is like pretty popular now, probably as a fashion trend.
Why did you label it weird goth kid?
It's cool in air quotes.
You can, yeah.
In air quotes, because I don't think they're weird, right? But like they were labeled that.
Oh, I see.
I was just saying taste is subjective, and so like what you like now is probably going to become a trend in like 10 years anyway. So just do whatever you want.
That's a good point. Also, caveat, because we always throw around caveats, but this is not to say that we're like immune to the want to be cool and like that we want to be cool
all the time.
But yeah, as much as we're saying this, I think it's a narrative we're trying to like drive, because it's, in my opinion, a healthier way to look at what being cool is. But we definitely do still think about what is cool. Like I'm not completely immune to the thought of how where I live affects my image and like how people see me. But I think it's more that I'm trying to just be less affected by image,
You can like things and want things, but we're just saying that you shouldn't want those things just because of the image part of it. You could want to live in New York for all the amazing things and why people love New York. It's the culture, it's the everything to do there. I mean, there's a laundry list of things why New York is so good, but looking cool should not be one of them, right? I think the same thing with like anything else that you do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the top of your mind, can you think of the coolest person that you know?
The coolest person I know?
Mm-hmm.
The Juicy J's are the coolest people I know.
Oh, that's a good
and
one.
I've never met anyone cooler than them, right?
That is true.
Like genuinely, like you just look at them and you're like, wow, everything you do is cool. I feel like there's those stereotypes in New York. You'll meet them and they're like an art director, but they also like made a bunch of they made a bunch of million. They made millions off like selling their tech startup. They also source their own antique silverware, and then they also have like impeccable style, and they made their entire outfit. Those types of people?
Yeah.
They're almost like a character in a movie.
Yeah, I think I meet those people. I don't know what this says about me, but I don't think I know anyone so closely that is that eclectic. I don't even know if it's eclectic.
Maybe they're not even real. They're like a figment of our imagination. They come in and out of our lives.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, is like when you look at how cool people are represented in media and then also on social media, I think the first few things are their mannerisms and behavior, which is like the calm, chill tone and like demure, like that kind of, you know, presence, which across the board people have range, right? No one's like that all the time. So I think that breaks the stereotype immediately. But then the second thing is like almost always for cool people, they have to be typecasted with like really quote unquote cool job, as in it's like unique, eclectic. I think coolness is always linked to your job, your mannerisms and behaviors, and then lastly, how you dress. And I'm sure there's other things it's linked to, but when people label people as cool, I think like that's the three things that they look at.
It's like a lot of the external stuff, external indicators.
Actually, it's mostly external.
Yeah.
When it comes to anything like identity, image, and like personal style and everything, I feel like there's always a discussion around like the external superficial things.
Wait, I was gonna give a hot take.
Yeah,
because you reminded me of that. My hot take is that to be considered cool, you have to be good looking, and good looking people are never considered. Ugly people are never considered cool, even if they have every other trait of a cool person. They would be considered some other word. They wouldn't be like, oh they're such a cool,
funny, quirky.
They're the coolest person. I feel like a lot of, at least people who are famous for being cool, are not ugly or average looking. They're very good looking. And I feel like good lookingness is just like an automatic coolness factor.
On this channel, we don't call people ugly. We just call them
poor.
Not. You mean conventionally attractive? Like people who are conventionally attractive get labeled as cool more than people who are not conventionally attractive.
Yeah. I think conventionally not attractive people are almost never cool. They're just another like adjective that's positive, right?
How many times have you been called cool?
To my face?
Yeah.
I don't even remember if I have been.
And how many times not to your face?
I wish I knew. I wish there was a log of whenever anyone says something nice about you, so that you could look at it and just know that someone said something nice about you when you're not there.
Yeah, I wish so too. But I have a story actually. So when I was in freshman year, you know how I did my rounds, like trying to make friends with everyone. And I was like trying to be like social butterfly, like blah, blah, blah. Hi, I'm Sarah, you know.
That's how you said it?
Hi, I'm Sarah.
I love your shirt.
I love your shirt. But I remember I made a friend and she's one of my closest friends now. So hello if you're listening. But she told me like a couple of years later that she thought I was so cool when she first met me. But then she actually got to know me.
That's really funny.
And I was like so offended because I was like, what do you mean? You don't think I'm cool?
That's like when the hot person opens their mouth.
Yeah, and immediately they were like, oh, you're not who I thought you were.
Yeah.
But I think I hold on to that because that's also like the first time that I realized that coolness is not a good definer for who you are, because coolness, the implication is that you're just like so calm and like so composed all the time. And most people that I know, every person that I know is not like that. So
yeah,
she said that when she first met me, that I was just so like effortlessly like social with everyone. And I always just had like this demeanor about myself that was so chill and like cool. But then when she got to know me, I think my like little like nerdiness and like just like laughs and just small mannerisms are just came out. But
what do you take away from that?
Well, I don't know. I think I took away that I cared a lot about coming off cool. And so I acted that way. And I think I still do, because I think that perception of me was just like a portion of who I am, right? Most people, and we've talked about this before, but I think like most people seem cooler than they are because they present the best parts of themselves. But once you start adding like the range that people have, like their snorts when they laugh and like their little quirks and the way they like maybe hobble when they're walking.
What?
I don't know who I'm describing.
Who are you describing? Yeah. Like a goblin?
Yeah. But just like once you introduce those small quirks that you don't see for the first time when you meet someone, like no one is as cool as they present for the first time.
Yeah. People are just people.
Yeah,
I actually think
people.
Yeah. I actually think you don't want to be cool
when you first meet someone.
No, you just don't want to be cool in general.
Oh, really?
You don't want to be considered cool because if I think of every time of my life, or when I think back on every period of my life, I think about who were the cool people back then. Who was I thinking of as like, oh wow, that group is so cool, or that person's so cool. It'd be cool to be friends with them. I look at their lives now and I'm like, they're just kind of normal people. Like I literally don't.
Like you're not in awe of anything that, you know, they're outputting.
Yeah, that like
life.
shine of coolness is like gone. It's like they're just a person. Not to shit on like life circumstances, but a lot of the time they don't end up being even considered cool at all, like later on. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes in high school the coolest person actually is cool, and it's because they're like quarterback, like star academic pupil, like they go
Yeah.
to the best school, then they get a really good job, and they're just an amazing person and they're just popular. But a lot of the time, like the coolest people I remember from high school, college, middle school, whatever it is, I look at their lives now and I'm like, I think you're not that cool.
Wait, that's a point I wanted to bring up. Thanks for reminding me, which is what cool is changes in the age range that you are in. So in high school, being cool is like being popular and having, you know, being the most extroverted, having friends, being, you know, on the...
Lots of sex.
Okay. Okay. This is not the right
Football.
podcast.
Euphoria.
But then you enter like college, and depending on the school that you go to, like cool can mean different things, right? If it's an academically oriented school, like those really intense schools like Caltech and MIT, being cool might correlate to academics more. If you go to, I don't know, like a very popular like school where sports is a huge deal, being on the football team might carry more weight as being cool. But then when you enter your 20s, cool is like, oh, what do you do for work? You know, you start talking about work, and then it's like if you're doing a cool profession and in a cool job, that makes you pretty cool.
That's actually probably what it is for the rest of your life until like 50 maybe or something.
Well, but I think when you actually get older and you see like where people, you know, go in life and like their homes and everything, at least for me, because I'm back in the like home decor routine, like trying to decorate this home. I think cool people have really nice homes. Yeah.
Coolness is having a nice home.
No, we literally just said like, it doesn't matter what being cool is. Cool is being what you want. But then I'm like, I see homes and I'm like, oh, this is like a cool person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's to say we're not completely immune from like this archetype of what being cool is. But I do think like the age range you're in determines what type of cool, quote unquote, stereotypical, socially accepted cool metrics there are. And like, even if you're cool now to other people, you might not be cool to the same people 10 years down the line, which is why, going back to my earlier point, I think you have to find coolness within yourself, because you can never guarantee if you'll feel cool with if you'll seem cool to other people. So you shouldn't ever base your sense of coolness on what other people think.
The coolest thing people could do now is apply sunscreen, drink plenty of
Yes.
water, take your supplements, so that when you're hitting your 40s, 50s, 60s, you're really young looking and young feeling physically. That's the coolest thing you could do as you age.
I agree. Go to the gym. Sign up for the gym membership.
We're just like parents now.
We literally are. Let's do a parenting episode one day.
How would we do it? With Moose?
Yeah. He can like review us as parents.
No, we'd
You know-
probably get a bad score. Yeah.
You know the reviewing my cat after a year type videos?
Oh, yeah.
He can do
Yep.
the reverse, but with us.
Reviewing my cat parents. Nice.
I think that's all to say that I find coolness overrated. I do think about, you know, what makes me or you or other people cool, but I'm trying to detach myself, like I mentioned. Yeah, I guess that was my point. I guess the title is literally just the point that we want to make in this episode, which is coolness is overrated. Unless we change it to the alternate title we had, which is stop trying to look cool. You look dumb, honey. I don't know which title we'll go with.
We should go with the honey one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look dumb, honey.
Yeah. Honey's
Yeah.
canceled.
Honey, your
Yeah.
cat is canceled?
No, I have a cat named Honey, by the way.
Wait, so honey's not canceled?
No. The other Honey's canceled.
Who's the other honey? Like Honey Nut Cheerios? Honey?
No. Like the other Honey.
Honey Bunches of Oats? Honey?
No. The other one.
The Honey Bear?
No. The other one.
Hon E, the musician?
The desktop.
Oh,
widget.
Honey, the desktop mobile Chrome extension.
Yeah.
The Chrome extension.
We can't talk when we have nothing to read off.
We should just baby talk the rest of the
episodes.
Actually, please cut that out. That's so embarrassing.
Bloopers. Today's episode was not meant to be very long, very deep. We would love to hear your thoughts on being cool, though. and whether or not you think we're cool.
They shouldn't comment anything other than the dancing emoji because we're having a dance off, right?
That's true.
From the beginning of the episode.
I think I'm going to win that.
I'm sure people have been doing this the entire time.
The person with the most dance emojis wins a competition with
with
James.
me for the final face off.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we just need a short, light episode like this.
It wasn't really light.
We
We said a lot of stuff that was like, what is it? Oh, there's that subreddit, like, I'm 13 and this is deep. Do you know that one?
Oh, yeah. Is that us? Except we're not 13. We're like bordering 30s.
We're like 31, basically.
We're not.
We're 3 years off. I'm 3 years off.
Well, you are. I'm 2.
I mean,
wait, I'm 4
I'm
years.
13 years off.
I'm 10 years old.
What? Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed our chat about coolness.
Hope you guys are taking it chill this week. I hope all of our cool soju shotties are staying cool in this cool, chill winter weather.
Well,
and
can I prompt one thing from the commenters or the viewers right now?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to add more burden to your plate on top of the dance competition. I think it'd be cool just to hear from you guys about what you guys think is cool. Just one thing in your life that you like.
Thank you for joining us this Soju Friday, and we'll catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye. Bloopers.
It's bloopers. I think I've been deprived of like laughter the last like month. So I'm like craving anything
that's false. I'm pretty sure you've laughed on the podcast.
Yeah, it's all fake.
It's
all a lie.
Is it those like final days of TikTok confessions or whatever?
Oh yeah.
We're not dating and this is a set.
I was never laughing, you guys. This is not my boyfriend, but it is my husband.
Yeah, my name's Dave, actually. I'm a paid actor from the tri-state area.
You know, do you think YouTube would ever
I'm actually white.
disappear?
Sorry,
Like
was I on Red Note?
Mm-hmm. For like the 12 hours.
小红书.
Whenever you speak Chinese, you kind of like push it out of your body. Like
小红书.
Like there's some like force that comes with it. I can't explain.
Yeah, well, you know,
Why is that?
You know when you are speaking a foreign language and you're trying to like emulate the accent? Actually, when you play the most stereotypical version of that accent, it actually helps a lot. So I'm just doing the version that I think in my head, but it's actually really off from the actual reality.